Managing the information technology in a city like Orlando is a tall task. Our next guest says she is up for the challenge. She is the Chief Information Officer at the City of Orlando, focusing on implementing edge technology solutions that align technology plans with business requirements. She also has experience with data governance, large-scale project management, resource management, and infrastructure planning. Please join me in welcoming Rosa Akhtarkhavari, Chief Information Officer at the City of Orlando. Rosa, I'm so glad you could join us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So Rosa, let's talk about how technology has actually been used to advance public safety, a smarter government. What's your thoughts on all of this?
This is actually a very exciting time for me. So what we're doing, we are looking at our existing investments, and we're trying to look at it through a different lens. How do we take all that information, all the sensor information, and drive intelligence, actionable intelligence? So our focus in public safety is main focus or main target areas are three areas. One is improve efficiency, public safety efficiency, such as response, collaboration between police and fire, as well as other agencies, code enforcement, and neighboring agencies. We're looking at using the data and predictive analysis from all that collected information to do prevention. So how do we prevent certain incidents from happening by getting ahead of it, by partnering with nonprofit organization, by partnering with our vendor community and with our community at large at the greater Orlando area. The other area we're looking at is bringing all that information in and do smart planning. So where do we put our next fire station, our substation? When we do annexation, how's that gonna change our landscape for redistricting? So those areas are very, very important for us. The other area we look at, other areas we look at besides the existing investment, as we implement new systems, we want to see how the data information flows between those systems and not just public safety systems. And we're just using all the sensor information to drive efficiencies throughout our processes.
Let's talk about the smart planning part of that, because that's very important when you're talking about what types of tools when you think about smart planning, because we talk about construction, efficiency. There's so much time wasted in that planning process and getting jobs done completely. How are you finding that this is really making construction more efficient and reducing a lot of waste when you're looking at that?
I think it is very important, again, knowing what information we have collected across our agency, our enterprise. So when we bring all that information in, all those pieces of information is going to help us be more efficient, smarter. For example, as said, and we also try to get more value out of the work we're doing. For example, as we start looking at transportation planning, what sensors are we putting in? How does that fit in within our public safety? So we look at that. We're looking at events, scheduled events, trends in scheduled events, and how does that help us build our change into our transportation system? Where do we put the stop sign? So that type of information, as well as redistricting for police and fire. Where do we put our fire station? Based on the number of calls, the type of calls, based on the connectivity to those areas, the travel distance, the traffic pattern, all that impacts at the longer term planning.
When we look at all of this, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Continue what you were going to say.
Yeah, and I think what it is also important is not a one-time thing. It's that having that continuous improvement cycle built into our planning make it crucial. So as the landscape changes, as the environment changes, we need to be agile and change with it as well. It just is very important parts and not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process.
And that's it. It's a journey, right? When you're looking at all this technology. And so when you look at that, the other key element of this is security, because when I think a lot of companies don't realize this, we've got a lot of bad actors out there, and you're connecting a lot of these things to a lot of different systems and infrastructure, and we talk about that. Your infrastructure can, and if the bad actors get in, you can create havoc to an entire city, correct?
That is correct, and that's one of the areas that doesn't only keep me up at night, keep many of us up at night. So the landscape, the bad actors and the cybersecurity landscape is continue to evolve to our disadvantage in one way and to our advantage in another way. So we have having all that sensor, having all the information coming in from environmental, from transportation, now is thriving on our network. So how do we shore our defenses? So looking at cybersecurity, we look at two areas because we want to be very realistic. Our focus is prevention. So we try to stay with the trends of what's happening, and we shore our defenses as it relates to that. We try to focus or shift our focus from basically active monitoring to incident response, not incident response, but we're trying to focus into active monitoring. We want to build incident response plan. We want to exercise and do tabletop exercises, but then it starts from the top down. Other areas we do look at is basically awareness. We have a full plan to raise awareness. We have employee training, and that goes beyond just the compliance as it's for public safety training certification, but we do that for citywide annual training and awareness campaigns because we all know people are one of the weak links as it comes to technology. We are building layers and try to separate our environment, and we have strong partnerships. We have sensors. We know what's happening in our area. We have full support of the city executive team, from the mayor all the way down throughout the city. We build security by design. Security is not afterthought for anything we do. Security is part of any implementation, execution, and testing of any project environment we put in place. And again, the partnership at the region. We are very active in the Fusion Center for our region. We have very strong partnership with DHS. They come and help us look at our environment and give us directions. The regional team as well as the national team have been very helpful in guiding us to shore our defenses and move to prevention.
One more question, and we're running out of time, but just quickly, looking at all of this, you've talked about you build the security in this, but we can't build this great connected city anymore without actually physically building some of these things. You've talked about a lot of sensors. We have to do these things before we can have autonomous vehicles or any of these things we're talking about. We still have to build what is all about our great cities, right? Is that what we're talking about? And then we can actually have the information systems that manage it. Is that what we actually have to do to make our cities great and smart?
Yes, definitely. So we have to build the transport for all the information. We have to identify our information and pieces. We have to have the right system that give us the right analytics, that give us the predictive analysis, smart machine learning built into the overall plan, and not forgetting the human element. Just going back to public safety, we know technology can give us a lot, but then also we do have the right people leading those organizations, which the city has been very lucky to bring in that human element to augment that technology. But we are built all the new systems we are putting together. We're doing it from top down. We're looking at connectivity. We're looking at collaboration, data flow, process flow, and trying to look at what is our objectives. And that objectives need to align with the city mission, with the mayor's mission, as well as the department missions. It's not deploying technology for the sake of technology.
Rosa Akhtarkhavari, thank you. You are the Chief Information Officer for the City of Orlando. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
All right, well, that's our innovation in tech for today. Appreciate it.